Welcome to Beyond the Coverage. I'm Chris Horner, and today I want to talk about Julian Alaphilippe's mistake at this year's Omloop Het Nieuwsblad 2021. Now, guys, I took some flack a little bit. A couple comments on this one talking about Julian Alaphilippe's move was such a great move because it allowed the two Deceuninck Quick-Step riders, Stybar and Ballerini, to sit back there and supposedly get a free ride. We all know that's not exactly a free ride when you're the best riders in the world at the first classic race of the season. But I'm here to explain and break down just Julian Alaphilippe's move. Now, I've won a lot of races in my career when I was racing, and even when you win, you make mistakes, okay? So, you can't say Julian Alaphilippe was perfect and look, they just won. Ballerini won, Deceuninck Quick-Step did everything perfect. That never happens in a bike race. It's never perfect. It's always a little bit off to down outright ugly. And Julian Alaphilippe's move was wrong. Now, we saw after the race, he did an interview and he talked about how it was the correct move to do. It allowed his two teammates to sit on and get a free ride. And I'm here to break it down and show you that it's not. That move, you'll see later on the butterfly effect I'll talk about, because we're going to see those moves like that throughout the year for sure. And I'll explain it on the butterfly effect when I tell you I love the move. Now, the reason I didn't like this move is mainly because Julian Alaphilippe, when he took off, he let the attack go when he's just the break, the distance from the break that he's with and the peloton, it's just not big enough, guys. That move, if he would have done it at a minute, I would have said, okay, I can understand. I would have preferred a minute and 30 seconds, say, would have been a better gap. Maybe you're 15K or 20K away from the finish line, but at 32K from the finish line, solo, he's got a ride, and the gap when he's leaving the break to the field is only about 35 seconds. That's not a really big gap. If it's a minute and 30 seconds at that distance, I say, okay, that's not bad. If he's 15, maybe 20K away from the finish line, okay, that's not a bad tactic. But at that particular moment in the race, Julian Alaphilippe's, it was a huge mistake. I mean, they still won with Ballerini because he just had amazing legs, and Deceuninck Quick-Step, like I explained on the butterfly effect, were absolutely outstanding. But let's go back and break it down. Right around 43K to go on the Molenberg is when Matteo Trentin smashes it and breaks it. Brings 9 of the best one-day racers in the world up the road. And guys, they're gelling together. They're really working smooth. You see Kevin Genietz from FDJ and Tom Pidcock who come across the gap and do a brilliant job. That gap, 10-15 seconds at the time, that is a hard gap to make it across with Julian Alaphilippe, Sat Van Mark on the front, driving along with 2 other Deceuninck Quick-Step riders, and everyone in that group is driving it. The only guys sitting on are 3 or 4 of the guys who came out of the break that got caught, that are just holding on for dear life, and nobody expects those guys to pull. Every picture you see from 43K until 32K to go, that group is rotating through just perfectly. Even Levens, the Bingold rider, is small team there racing, and he's rotating through too. He clearly has great form and is riding good. When Julian Alaphilippe smashes it up the Lieberg climb, that blows the gap from finally that 10 to 15 second range up to about 35. And the field at this moment after the Lieberg is just about ready to blow up and quit working. But then Julian Alaphilippe makes a mistake. When he takes off and he lights it up with 32K to go, that just causes chaos in the break behind. You'll see Pidcock tries 2 times to go across, really big efforts. That was a mistake from Tom Pidcock. I was impressed. You heard me say it on the butterfly effect. He has amazing legs. But when he is jumping, I'll show you a picture here. There's 7 different guys in the wind at the same time from that break. So you're talking about a break of 13, 15 riders at that moment. 7 different guys are in the wind chasing 100% to try to catch Pidcock and, of course, to try to bring back Julian Alaphilippe. But anytime you have 7 guys out of a group of 15, that means no one is working well together. The chase from behind in the peloton with its Lotto Sudal back there chasing, those guys now are staying motivated. They're crazy motivated when they see the gap is not going above that 30-second mark and it just keeps creeping down second after second. That's what's keeping the peloton in the back 100% motivated. Had Julian Alaphilippe waited till that gap was 1 minute, 1.5 minutes, and he threw an attack, that peloton behind those guys would have blown up. Like, they would have blown up and they would have just not even wanted to touch the front, and they would have been heading for the showers. Instead, all they're really chasing is a solo Julian Alaphilippe, who has great form. He's one of the best in that break, but not the kind of form that we're used to seeing when he was dominating the 2019 Tour de France and wearing the leader's jersey and just doing amazing efforts for an hour. When you go at 32K to go, you're talking about a 50-minute effort all the way to the line. So as soon as he takes off, he has to know at that point in time, when the field is only 35 seconds behind his Deceuninck Quick-Step riders of Davide Ballerini and Stybar, they're going to get caught, or they have to catch him, or he has to single-handedly ride away from a group of, let's call it 8 or 9 of the best guys in the world chasing him, even smooth, taking rotating pulls, or they blow up and stop working, which means now the field can chase those guys. So when I say it's a mistake, it was a catastrophic mistake. Like I said, Deceuninck Quick-Step, amazing job. Their strength in numbers. When you're racing in Europe, pure depth and just power will always fix and repair and patch up mistakes made throughout the race. When the race begins, you can make more and more mistakes, but as it gets closer to the finish, those mistakes have to be smaller and smaller and then non-existent. And of course, when we saw the sprint with Deceuninck Quick-Step, their sprint train, that was mistake-free and they dominated. So when you see it later on the butterfly effect, you will see many times where I say that's a great move. They're sending a rider up the road. His teammates get to sit on in that break, but I will never say it when the field's only 30 seconds behind the break and chasing like a mad dog back there looking for that bone they're trying to find. You cannot go that early. It has to be a minute. I prefer a minute and a half when you're still that 30+ K out from the finish line. 10K to go is something different, 20K a little bit different, but 32K from the finish, solo by yourself, that's asking a lot, and that's why I called it a big mistake on the butterfly effect. Hope you guys liked today's description of Julian Alaphilippe's mistake. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys real soon.